Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, market isn't looking too hot right now. So, what time is it? It's time to what? That's exactly what I'm going to explain today and tell you guys exactly what I'm going to be doing. So, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell. Follow me on social media. Follow me on CryptosRUs.com. And, of course, follow me on the brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Man. Today was brutal, but what's more brutal is the hate, the bears, the naysayers, the fudsters coming out of the woodwork and just trying to spread misery all around. I don't quite get it. So many are calling for me to turn bearish as if that is somehow some achievement that is going to all of a sudden turn the market around. That's ridiculous. And I think people forgot that 2021 happened. And what happened in 2021? The same people called a bear market and called that we were going to head to 20,000, yet we had a spectacular recovery back up to 69,000. And it's shocking that people have such short-term memories. And you know what else is more shocking is the fact that even with Bitcoin at 36.2, it still has not made a low for 2022. People seem to have forgotten that we were lower earlier in January and February and March. Somehow that disappeared off of people's minds, right? So, is it time to get bearish? Is it time for me to start selling? Hell no. Why would you want to sell when things are low? You sell when things are high. What do? You buy. You buy when things are low. It's utterly ridiculous, all these other guys on Twitter chatting away like as if being bearish does anything for anyone. They're just trying to spread their own misery. They're putting all these lines and charts saying, yeah, I told you so. Yet none of them made any moves. That's why they're so miserable and trying to spread more FUD. What they should be telling you is take advantage of the dips. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to buy the dip. You're supposed to buy low, not buy high and sell low, which is what most of them are telling you to do right now, which is, in fact, the wrong move. Okay? So what is it time for? It's time to take advantage of the dips. That is what it's time for. When things are low, you take advantage. Doesn't mean that you go all in. Doesn't mean that you have to take a mortgage out of your house, or you go sell off your car, or, rack up your credit card debt. No, that's not what it means at all. Buying the dip and DCA means that you're just taking advantage. You're dollar cost averaging. You're bringing your costs down because you are taking advantage of the low prices and the discounts that has presented itself to us. Okay? You don't want to buy the dip when things are at an all-time high. That's not the way to do it. You buy the dip when things are lower, which is a shocking revelation for most people in this space for some reason, right? So, bottom line, is it time to panic? Is it time to be bearish? Is it time to get out of the market? My answer is no. I will not get out of the market. I will not turn bearish. And everyone telling you to do so, honestly, I don't know what they're doing in the market anymore. If they are bearish, then they should get the hell out. What's the point of spreading more fear out there and causing more people to sell off, which almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy then, right? What is the point of that? Makes no sense to me. Makes zero sense to me. And like I said at the beginning, let's just refresh people's memories. Did we make a new low for 2022? The answer is no, okay? We didn't even make a second low. We had a low at 32,000 back in January. We had another low back in March, or February, I should say. And yes, we are lower now, but we didn't break through those lows yet. So all this panic talk about us going down 20,000, let's take a second and step back a little bit, okay? And let's take a second and remind ourselves that, yes, we had the same event in 2021, not even a year ago, when we fell down to 28,000, and again, people turned 100% bearish and said we were going to go down 20,000, and we're going to go down maybe even to 10,000, right? What happened? We went sideways. We didn't go lower. We went sideways for months. Then we recovered. And I'm arguing we're doing the same thing. We're going sideways because we didn't form a new low. We're actually going sideways since January, okay? So, again, for everyone else out there that's spreading FUD, you need to ignore that FUD, okay? Yes, there are some bad things going on around the world. Yes, there are a lot of stuff that's bad around the world, okay? It's having an effect on the markets. It's having an effect on Wall Street traders. It's having an effect on traders overall. People with endless lines that's telling you, oh, this is what's going to happen. Yet almost all of them are wrong most of the time. And the ones that truly make money are the ones that continue to DCA, continue to HODL for a long haul. And yes, there are many people that say, well, look at this. You should have caught top or here or there. Doesn't matter. When you're holding for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, none of these matters because you're already up 100, 1,000, 10,000%, right? That is what I'm going for. I've made the same mistakes like these other guys. Try to time top or bottom and all this stuff, right? What I learned is this. You just continue to DCA and HODL, and it works. There's no one that could say anything differently unless they haven't been through it, unless they haven't been through the years, unless they just got in right at 69,000. Maybe they'll tell you that. But there's no one from 2017 that's been holding Bitcoin will tell you that that doesn't work because you're up double from there, right? Despite all the up and downs. So I just want to start with that because today, man, all the bears came out, every single one, as if we somehow made a new low, as if 2021 didn't happen, like we didn't have a drop that was even worse than what we're seeing. And as if we didn't have that recovery either when no one thought that was going to happen other than this guy right here. Okay? Sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you just don't know. So I'm going to start with that. All right. So now, I got all fired up. It kind of went out of order, but I did want to leave with that. But to summarize what happened today, well, obviously, the Dow went down 1,000 points. NASDAQ went down almost 700 points, and it wasn't a good day. And why did this happen? Well, because of one warning, basically, from one central bank. And it wasn't the Federal Reserve. It was actually the Bank of England, which gave a really grim forecast saying that inflation, no matter what, will be above 10%. And their rate hikes may not stop the inflation. When they said this right after the Powell meeting, it changed the game. DXY started going up to the moon. In fact, it's still at the moon, almost 104 right now. So this declaration basically saying, hey, it's going to get worse in terms of inflation, just really caused a whole lot of people to go bonkers, to just basically selling off everything. That's what happened today. Right? And of course, that escalated because it's not just the Bank of England, right? Tokyo, same thing, highest inflation in decades. Germany had inflation highest in 4 decades. Europe, inflation is even surpassing U.S. for the first time in a decade, right? All this is causing mass panic around the world, right? So I recognize this, and I've said this, and we had a lot of e-commerce companies, a lot of online retailers also having horrible, horrible quarters, okay? Which also spooked the market because it shows that retail demand, consumer demand has slowed down, right? So you combine all this together, of course, that's what happened today. That's what brought things down, right? And I've been saying, when Wall Street gets panicky, they sell off everything. They don't care. They'll sell off tech. They'll sell off Bitcoin. They'll sell off Ethereum. They'll sell off even gold. They'll sell off anything because they're trying to basically protect their wealth. And they do so in a very reactive way. We've seen it time and time and time again. That's why we have this unfortunate correlation with NASDAQ and Bitcoin, right? It seems like there's like a one-to-one relationship almost, right? That's an unfortunate thing that's going on right now because of world fears. But I told you guys, I remain bullish. I remain in the game. I'm not going to just flip-flop and say I'm going to go sell everything and wait for a lower low because no one knows if that's coming or how low. No one knows. The truest way to find bottom is dollar cost average. That's what you do. You dollar cost average down. That's how you find true bottom because no one knows where low is. Okay? And obviously, I've been through this many, many, many years, including 2021, which again, many people seem to have forgotten what it was like. The drastic drop and a drastic recovery. Yet people thought that, the drop from 64,000 meant it was over for Bitcoin. No, it wasn't. And of course, I lived through 2020 and the Black Swan event that brought Bitcoin below 4,000. I still remember that too. And we're still roughly 10x higher than there. Well, now it's about 8 or 9x. But even from 2 years ago, we're still 8x higher. And Ethereum, forget about it. Ethereum's like 50 times higher than that Black Swan event, right? So putting things into context, we're doing just fine, all right? Now, short term, I know there's a lot of red, a lot of volatility. But going back to what I said at the beginning, you got to stretch out your timeline. That's what you got to do. You got to realize that investing is a multi-year ordeal. It's not a month-to-month or even week-to-week or day-to-day. You're in Bitcoin, you're in crypto to make life-changing wealth or financial freedom. You do so over years, not just a few months, okay? And many people, unfortunately, do fall into that trap where they want to make money really quick, and then they get discouraged, and then they leave. But that's what I'm here to do. I don't want to get people discouraged. That's why all these other guys that's all bearish and wants everyone else to turn bearish does absolutely nothing. All it does is slow things down even more and make people make rash and irrational decisions, right? So that is my thing, okay? That's why I bring my energy, my experience, my hopium. People say I'm the greatest hopium dealer. Well, that's because I've been through it. That's honestly the thing. I've lost so much money and I made so many mistakes like what others are doing right now over the years. And I've learned from those mistakes and I kept going forward. Yes, that's honestly what the truth is. It's not rocket science if you think about it, okay? So yeah, with all that said, a lot of Bitcoiners got liquidated, right? This had something to do with it too, besides all the panic selling and everything. But you have about $300 million worth of long liquidations. So you still have a lot of greedy traders, right? So I've always said, don't play with leverage. Even if you're an expert, even if you think you're going to be correct, sometimes you're just not, right? And we don't see the same thing on a short side. We only see on a long side. So I get people want to be long. That's great. You DCA. Don't play with 50 or 100x leverage. You just go wreck yourself, right? And unfortunately, not only do you wreck yourself, but you're also wrecking the whole community. And that's not what you want to do. You want to do the opposite. You want to help the community, not wreck it, right? And unfortunately, we're seeing way too many long liquidations, and this is definitely having an effect on the market, right? So that also happened. But there's good news. There's good news. There's always good news. Why? Well, besides everything I said about my experience and living through it and seeing much, much worse situations, other things, I mean, there's only so many things I can show you guys time and time and again, and these things remain bullish, remain positive. In fact, they're getting almost too good. For example, number of addresses was non-zero balance, right? You could see traditionally in the past, there were some correlations, right? Like back in 2017, 2018, you know, when the dip happened and then you see a drop in addresses, it makes sense, right? But since then, it's been doing nothing but going up. Even right now, look at the top right-hand corner. Addresses at an all-time high, even with the price fluctuation and volatility. It's at an all-time high. Why do you think that is? Because the number of holders continue to grow. People that have come into the space, right, they understand. They understand what Bitcoin is all about, and they understand this is a multi-year ordeal, not a short-term investment, right? That is why that number continues to grow. And more people around the world is recognizing what Bitcoin is and the power of Bitcoin, right? So that is extremely positive. You're not seeing any decline at all. Zero decline. It's climbing faster than ever. Something else that correlates to that is the liquid supply. And I've shown this many, many times. And you can see how it's actually escalating upwards. No slowness, no dip. It's going higher. What does this mean? Well, it means that less and less Bitcoin is floating out there. And that's what you want. It's not people panic selling. If there were a lot of people panic selling and you see a flow of Bitcoin into circulation, well, that would be dropping. That would be dropping hardcore, but that's not the case either. This continues to go higher. And this puts things into perspective. Some of the previous drawdowns from highs, right? And I know some people will take this the wrong way, but if you look at 2011 bear market low, 2015 low, 2018 low, the COVID crash, right? They were all 90, 80, 75% crashes, right? We even had one in 2021 where it was over 50%. And right now, we're about 45% from top, okay? So we had a significant crash. We had a significant correction. But it's nowhere near as bad as some of the other times before. And the reason being is all of the stuff I just showed you guys. Because the long-term holders continue to hodl, and there's more of it out there, and the miners are not selling. So it's definitely having an effect already, because many people argue that, well, this is going to be ongoing forever, and there's going to be a lot of whale games and manipulation, correlation on NASDAQ forever. No, we're already seeing effect of the long-term holders, right, affecting Bitcoin's price. It's a lot more stable now than before. Before, when the NASDAQ or the market crashes, you see Bitcoin crash way more. But that's not the case anymore. In fact, Bitcoin is a lot more stable than most tech stocks out there right now, including the whole sector, right? And the supply to have last moved in over a year ago, again, correlating with the holders, is at an all-time high. Think about that. Take a second to think about it. The number of addresses that have not moved any Bitcoin in over a year is at an all-time high again. Again, correlating with everything else I've been showing. And TechDev actually made this fancy graph that shows you every time that happens and it makes all-time high, usually Bitcoin has a pretty good run up afterwards. Every single time, really. And we're at that point right now. at an all-time high. Again, why is this? Because holders continue to hodl, holders continue to buy the dip, and hodl and just continue hodling, right? So these are the stuff I look at. And I've said time and time again, if these turn negative, if these start flipping the opposite way, then I'll recognize that something fundamentally changed with Bitcoin, right? And I don't have the hash rate. Hash rate is all-time high too. Every single metric measuring Bitcoin's activity and health and growth is all basically at all-time high. And if any of these switch negative in a big way, then I will bring it up and say, well, maybe something's going on with Bitcoin, right? Maybe it's not going to continue forward. But that's not the case. Despite everything that's going around the world, I look at these and I know Bitcoin is healthy, right? I just recognize that there will be volatility because there's too much to ignore out there. There's too much to ignore out there. Inflation is definitely high. We're finally feeling the effects of hyperinflation, really, the endless printing from the banks. And it's compounded with the war, with supply chain issues, right? That is making things worse. So we're seeing the effects of that right now. And it's hard to overcome those things. But Bitcoin is healthy. It's more healthy than ever. It's at an all-time high healthy. And that is why I remain bullish on Bitcoin. Okay, so something else to help you guys. Keep focus and stay strong and focus on long-term, the future. Now, with that said, I don't have any altcoin articles to show you guys, but I did say at the beginning, you want to buy low. You want a DCA when things are low, right? Low, low, low. It's one thing to have hindsight and say, okay, I should have bought at that point, right? Like I've said, in 2020, Bitcoin fell below 4,000. But I'll tell you, I was streaming that day. And I was streaming days before. I'll tell you, no one wanted to buy. No one wanted to buy. In hindsight right now, knowing that that was bottom at 3,800, everyone would bet the farm on it. You'd sell your house, sell your car, sell every possession you have, and go all in on Bitcoin and Ethereum back at that point. But I'll tell you, when we fell to that point, literally no one wanted to buy. Zero. Because fear was high, and you always had fuzzers that said it's going to go lower. There's always people that tell you it's going to go lower. Everyone's guessing. But the people that did buy, they're up significantly. Significantly. Ethereum was below $100 at that time. You do the math. It dropped to $80 in March of 2020. So forget the 10x of Bitcoin. What is that for Ethereum, right? And what is that for all the others? BNB and others, they were like $5, $2. And some of the ones like Solana and Terra wasn't even around then, right? But that's my point. No one knows. So you buy low and then you hold for long-term growth, long-term gains, right? So I do think right now, even though I'm not saying this is absolute bottom, if the economy gets worse, there's more things that happen. Russia throws a nuke out there. Yeah, things will probably go down more, right? But I would say this. Some of these altcoins within the last 30 days or 90 days or year to date, you can look at it, right? Some are now 30, 40, 50% off their highs. I would say this is a pretty darn good time to be DCAing. You don't have to go all in. You don't have to go heavy. Even just a little bit, you dollar cost average what you're holding downwards pretty significantly, especially if it's like 30 or 40% off, right? Then you wait and see. If it holds, great. If it continues up, great. You've benefited. If it goes lower, well, then you dollar cost average some more. That's how you do it. That's how you find bottom. That's how it is, right? So I'm going to go run over like within the top 50 because a couple caught my eye, especially if you look at year to date, which is about 5 months now, right? But some are really, really, really oversold. I mean, for example, at number 7, Solana even though, yes, they have a lot of network outages. And yes, a lot of people like to hate on Solana because they're heavy VC involvement, right? But they're still one of the big caps. And they still have fantastic ecosystem, a ton of NFTs. I still support them. But they're down 53% since year to date, right? That's a pretty significant drop. So I would say Solana is a good candidate. Cardano recently had a pretty good climb until today, but down 43%, right? I think that's a pretty attractive buy. Terra, I would say, though, would be a good buy at any time, but it's only down 11% year to date. It's actually one of the strongest out there. You guys know why. I covered Terra a lot about, their UST, and UST continues to go up and up and up and up, and it's helping Luna, right? Which is why they're so strong. But only down 11%. But you could see, just go down the list. Avalanche and Polkadot, both of these are fantastic L1s. So many things happening. Down 49%, almost 50% here. Polygon down almost 60%. No reason for that. Polygon has one of the biggest ecosystems out there. Down 60%, right? So these are prime candidates for dollar cost averaging. Right, you go down the list, Chronos at 52%, Cosmos at 51%. Algorand down 63%. Algorand just had a big partnership with FIFA, and they have a huge presence in Latin America and still growing, right? No reason to be down 63%. Well, it's a good buying opportunity, right? And you go down the list, there's so many good ones out there. So many good ones out there. VeChain down 46%. I think that's a fantastic project, right? You go down the list. Some of the metaverses, whether you believe in them or not, right? Sandbox down 65%. Decentraland's about down 56%. Phantom down a staggering 72%. That's a pretty good buying opportunity. And then you go down the list. Helium, I like Helium, 63%. I mean, there's so many out there. So many out there. You just go down the list, right? Harmony down 70%. Gala down 70%. Engine down 61%. Obviously, altcoins have not fared nearly as well as Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? Because they're smaller, less liquidity, less holders. Whenever people panic, they tend to sell off their altcoins first, right? So I do think there's a ton of projects out there. Fantastic. The ones that will survive any correction, any downturn, because they have a great team. They have a great ecosystem. They still have plenty of funds in the treasury, still developing, still forming partnerships. These are the ones that will only get stronger once the market comes back up. The ones that will get back to the previous highs and make a new all-time high, right? So I do think today, after this huge, I take that back. Due to this correction, okay? Due to this pretty significant correction, pretty good time to buy. I know I will be. I have been. And that's okay if things have gone down, because that just means I get to buy more cheaper, right? So there you go. All right, let's do some Q&A. Crypto, hola. Way to stay positive. Been tuned in since January 1st, 1918. No, January 1st, 2018. Your true loyal Bitcoiner, always positive. That's why I hold up. I mean, that's my model. That's my model, right? And again, you got a lot of naysayers, a lot of miserable people that will spread FUD, that will call out everyone else but themselves, right? And blame everyone else. But don't be one of those people. And don't follow those people, more importantly. Because when it comes to Bitcoin and crypto, The name of the game is long-term growth, long-term gains, HODLing, DCing. Really, that's it. Man, my nose is really itchy. Hike to earth. That's hilarious. I'm older than I look. Let's see. NFTs gave regular retailers a bad rep. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how many retailers actually are into NFTs. Some of the big brands are, but normal retailers, I don't think they're really going to be. I don't know. I don't think they really care about NFTs at this point. JKH. All right, I'm going to take out the swears, but to quote, I bought the F out of ETH on that dip. I think he's referring to that dip when Bitcoin, Ethereum fell below $100. Retirement locked in. Okay, this is someone in the chat that actually did take advantage. I had a stupid person screaming Chicken Little. Looks like that DF, DF now, LOL, right? So congratulations. And yes, that's what I've been saying, right? We have lived through some of these times, much worse times. But those that have made the most are the ones that took advantage of those times. I'll tell you, when Bitcoin fell below 4,000, I still remember, I hate to call him out, but Tone Vase and his buddy saying that we're going to go to 1,000 because of the hyperwave. Back then, he was like the big TA guy saying hyperwave this, hyperwave that, and we're going to go to 1,000. We didn't. And he caused many people to sit on the sidelines and miss one of the most terrific recoveries, right? Just like I don't know how many people called when Bitcoin went down to 28,000 back in 2021. I don't know how many people said, oh, we're in a bear market. It's going to go down to 20,000, right? All these guys, all these guests, and all these shows that we're going to go down to 20,000, 10,000. They caused so many people to miss out on one of the greatest gains up to 69,000 from there, right? Boris Lava. What project is still adding that's not in the top 50? Right now, nothing. Right now, everything pretty much I'm adding is within the top 50. Do we know which exchanges where the selling pressure is coming from? No, probably the leveraged ones. I didn't have a chance to look at it, but probably the leveraged ones. Usually when you have a sudden down pressure, it's the whales that's doing it on some kind of leverage exchange because they're using a large amount and they're compounding it with leverage. So, Sean, that's your choice. It could be a good move or you may regret it later. But the important thing is at least you're still paying attention, right? Many people cash out, like you said, or like you did, and then they just leave the market. And that's unfortunate because every single time we have a top and bottom, it always happens. Rude TV, love your channel. People should know that the global stock market is 117 trillion, while crypto is barely 2 trillion. We're so early. Yes. We're so early. People don't want to hear that. But crypto is growing faster than the internet right now. It took internet about 20, 30 years before it reached true maturity. And even then, it still expanded, right? And right now, it's only been 12 years for crypto, mostly because of Bitcoin. Really, I would argue crypto itself, outside of Bitcoin, really... It's been around like 7 years because of Ethereum, because of smart contracts. Everything that we're seeing with Web 3.0 right now is due to smart contracts, and that didn't get released until like 2016 or 2015 or 2016 when the Ethereum came out. So if you think about that, it's only been like 7 years, right? It's still so early. Jason says, Senator Warren questioning Fidelity sealed it for me. Seems like the rich want it all for themselves. I'm DCA holding, yeah, basically. I don't know what her deal is, but she's been very anti-crypto. Maybe she's protecting her donors, you know, the financial institutions, the banks that are around right now. Maybe, I don't know. But all I know this, like when it comes to politicians, they enter office, I don't know, as a middle class person, maybe sometimes upper class, a little bit richer, but they always exit like a billionaire status. Right? Have you noticed that? Like Pelosi, if you look at her trades within her time in office, she went from like 1 million to like 200 million. Like, how do these politicians do so well after they come out? Right? Maybe a lot of money under the table. Maybe because their policy affects the market. You know, maybe they're protecting their donors. You know, it's just, it makes you wonder how people, once they become a politician, you know, exponentially grow their wealth by like 1,000-fold, right? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Or it shouldn't be that way, I should say. So, I don't really like Quant. Quant is more like B2B. They're more cater for businesses, so I don't really like them that much. Next 2 years at the next halving event, these few $1,000 dips will be a drop in the ocean. I've said that before, and it really pissed people off before. When we were lower, when we were below 10,000, and we were below 10,000 for a very, very, very long time, many, many, many years, and most people gave up after like 2 or 3 years. But I said, you know, these swings between 6,000, 7,000, 10,000, right, will be a rounding error in the future. You're not even going to remember them, right? And at this price point, would anyone argue that buying at 7,000 versus 6,000, if that's really a big deal? No. No, right? It really becomes a rounding error, right? At the time, buying the difference between buying at 6,000 and 7,000, yeah, it's vast. It's $1,000, right? But when you're buying Bitcoin at 36.5 right now, no one really cares whether or not you bought at 6 or 7,000. It becomes almost a rounding error. It doesn't matter, right? It'll be the same thing when Bitcoin is at 300,000, 500,000. Whether you bought Bitcoin at 30,000 or 36,000 or 40,000, it's irrelevant when it's at 400,000, right? That's exactly true. Don't bigger whales eat other whales? I mean, sometimes whales get crushed when they're trying to bring that down the market, and some other whales bring it up, right? Actually, you know, one of the things I've been paying attention to, and I think a lot of people caught it, is the fact that Terra is still buying Bitcoin. Anthony Pompliano actually makes the argument that Luna is actually saving Bitcoin because of how much they bought. They bought additional $1.5 billion to the Bitcoin. So the Luna Foundation holds $3.5 billion to the Bitcoin. That's pretty close to Michael Saylor now. So that's how much they bought. Unfortunately, it's over via OTC market, so it didn't pump Bitcoin up. But it's certainly taking a lot of Bitcoin out of circulation, which is why all these metrics I show you guys about increasing illiquid supply, decreasing exchange reserves, it's still happening. And people wonder why it's happening even though the price is not going up. A lot of it is because a lot of these trades are done OTC, which does not affect the order books on exchanges. That's why, right? But nevertheless, it's taking Bitcoin out of circulation, and that's important over long run because it's getting less and less and more rare. I mean, Terra plans on buying $10 billion plus worth of Bitcoin, and they're only at 3.5 billion. I say only at 3.5 billion, but they shot up really, really fast. okay? And others will follow because others are already trying to come out their own algorithmic stablecoin to copy the same model. I know Near just came out theirs. Tron is trying to copy. Who's to say these other projects won't start buying Bitcoin as reserve currencies too for their stable coins, right? I think it's going to start a trend. Why not? Why not? A lot of these projects have billions of reserves. They could certainly do so. That may be around the corner too. Man, my nose is so itchy. And it's not due to Coke, if you guys are thinking about it. What are your thoughts on Omi? Will it ever do anything? Well, Vivi had his own issues. They're still, I think they recover from it, but you know, NFTs overall a little weak right now, right? When the market isn't doing too well, NFTs generally get weaker. So I think with their licensing, they're going to be just fine in the future. They have all the licensing in the world. What do you think about tomorrow's employment numbers? Probably won't be that strong because all of the employment numbers that have come out recently have been pretty negative. So I think that's almost priced in at this point, even though Powell argues that the labor force is still very strong. And there's still a lot of companies and restaurants and a lot of industries that can't find good workers, right? So that is a thing. However, these latest numbers are indicating that we are seeing a slowdown, right? So, yes. Calvin Whitney says, George speaks the truth about the OTC market. My mentor, Oliver, took us through the exact way orders are hidden from exchanges. Bottom line, supply of Bitcoin is drying up fast. It is. It is. One day, when it completely dries up, and the only Bitcoins that can be bought are on the exchanges dry up, and then at that point, Bitcoin is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars each, right? And again, at that point, no one's going to be arguing whether or not you bought Bitcoin at 30,000 or 36,000 or 40,000 because it's irrelevant. Just like when Bitcoin was at 6, 7, 8, 9, people were fighting over that 1,000 like it was going to be the death of them if they didn't pick up at the lowest point. At this point right now, where we are, it seems silly to be thinking about that, right? Whether you bought at 8,000 or 6,000, you're making bank right now, right? It'll be the same thing in the future. Just came in. What time is it? It's time to DCA. If you missed my intro, I was real fired up. I had nothing prepared. I was just coming out of me. You know, I just winged it. And I think I did pretty good. So make sure you rewind and catch what I said because it's true. It's true. Too many bearish people out there trying to get everyone else to sell. I just don't get it. This is time for encouragement to stay strong as a community, right? And to take advantage of dips. You buy low. You don't buy high. You buy low. You buy when people are fearful, when people think that there will be a lower low. There's always people that think there will be a lower low until there isn't, and we head out higher. It's always the case. Man, yeah, John Morant. I wish I had more of his rookie cards. He is on fire. He's on fire. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. All right, hopefully you guys are staying strong, focusing on the future, and know that investing in Bitcoin and crypto is a long-term ordeal. It's not a short-term play. If you're getting involved for a short-term gain, well, you're going to be disappointed, right? And again, this is a time where we need to stay strong together as a community and help each other. Whenever there's fear out there, right, you got to help each other understand what's going on and help them realize that Bitcoin and crypto is the future. We're so early. Panicking over what's happening right now becomes irrelevant, a rounding error in the future. It has happened already. I've seen it so many times, and it'll happen again, okay? So stay strong, my friends, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.